Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Class Non-Classics. This is episode number 928 and Doubleshot number 822. I got Marvel and DC trade, both of whom I got from Ollie's for about $6-7. Yeah, this one I got for about $6. And this is a trade released back in 2014. Yes, I was quite surprised to see this one. I've heard of this comic. I've never particularly read it before, but it's quite interesting. This was a digital first comic written by Jason Aaron and Jason Latour. What book is this? Wolverine, Japan's Most Wanted. This was a digital first comic released, I believe, back in 20-something. This is only like 13 issues. I mean, look at the costume. It looks like it came out chronologically. This is roughly probably just before the events of Schism. Because here's the thing. At the time this was released, this trade paperback, Wolverine was not doing too well. Not by his sales-wise. Oh no. The character was doing bad due to the fact he lost his healing factor. Yep. I'm sure a lot of people, when this trade came out, people were like, if people didn't read this online, they were like, okay, last time I checked, Wolverine's healing factor is gone, yet here he's got his healing factor. There's no explanations for this. Also, I should point something about the logo, this logo for this title. Yeah, this is the logo that Wolverine had from the period of 2012 to 2014. Period of about a couple years. This was the logo for the Wolverine title. What's the story for this one? Wolverine is wanted for the murder of a Japanese politician. One of the Japanese chancellors for one of their... It's basically the version of Parliament. Yeah, he's wanted for murder, and he's on the run from the police, and also the Hand pops up in here as well, because Wolverine's got a long history with the Hand. He's one of two characters that have a long history with him, the other, of course, being Daredevil. Yep. Probably because the Hand's first up in Daredevil's comic book. Of course, you also see guest appearances by Sabretooth, the second Silver Samurai, and, of all people, Sunfire, because it's Japan. Sabretooth, I'm not surprised he showed up here, because, well, he's a long-term Wolverine enemy, so not surprising there. Now, the whole thing with the second Silver Samurai, this is a bit confusing. I know this character is a creation of Jason Aaron, he's one of several characters. I don't know if this was necessarily his first appearance, or was it Wolverine 300? It may have been Wolverine 300. This was basically during... When this book came out, takes place like roughly toward the end of Jason Aaron's brief run he had for the book. A run that lasted for like a year. Yeah, he started in 2011. He actually ended his run in 2012. Yeah, the thing is that his run was like 24 issues, released over the course of a year. Released twice a month. That's the only thing I can think of when it comes to that. Yeah. Though, there's some weird scenes in here. Like, there's this character known as I think it's like the Holy Hun. And there's like twice in the book, she actually takes off her robe, and she's completely naked. And she's covered with Japanese characters. Some kind of group she's part of. It's not thoroughly explained in here. But Wolverine is written really well, and him and Sabretooth both written really well. In the case of Silver Samurai, man, what the heck is up with this guy's armor? I mean, yeah, it's not the original Silver Samurai. Oh, no. See, the original Silver Samurai is dead. He got killed by a bunch of ninjas who invaded his home. These ninjas known as the Red Right Hand. As far as I can tell for these characters, they are creations of Jason Aaron, and they got killed off in the first issue of Jason Aaron's run for Wolverine. Well, not them anyways. Silver Samurai did. Also, when they show up the Silver Samurai, he's in an odd place. Now, here is the Silver Samurai right here. This is the second one. Yeah, it's not the original one, the one who's noteworthy for being the Silver Samurai. This is a completely different character. Also, for some reason, I have no idea why, there's this weird scene in here of Sabretooth getting a massage in what looks like a place that looks like a slaughterhouse. Well, there's also a corpse of a dead horse with flies around. As far as I can tell, either Wolverine ate even the Sabretooth either ate this horse or is somehow there. It's one of the most bizarre things. And he's meeting with this particular person from the Japanese police force and a businessman for some reason. The businessman is taken away by a bunch of geisha girls, and he's never seen again. Yeah, and as for the guy himself, he gets his arm chopped off by the new Silver Samurai, who happens to be the illegitimate son of the previous Silver Samurai, and he also basically owns the company that the Silver Samurai was never having, Shin Industries. Eventually, but and of course, also at one point, Wolverine loses his eyes. I'm like, okay, well, that's something like Wolverine has the only fact in it. By the end of the book, oh yeah, his eyes are perfectly fine. So yeah, it takes place before he lost his healing factor. Okay, as for when, I have no idea. But despite this being a very odd story, it's not a story that's talked about very much. Yes, this was released during a period of time when Marvel wasn't doing a lot of digital first, series. Not many of them know. This is one of a handful they published this period of time. You have, of course, being Fate of Frontier, which was Iron Man Fate of Frontier. There's the Iron Fist miniseries. Yeah, that was initially launched as an ongoing series, but for some reason made digital for some reason. It is also, I'm going to give this book roughly a 8 out of 10. It's an odd book. But, yeah. But the thing is, with the exception of Wolverine, Sabretooth, Sunfire, the second Silver Samurai, yeah, with the exception of these 4 characters, nobody else appears in this book actually reappears ever again. That's the odd thing about this. They don't appear in any other book. There's nothing in the Wolverine books featuring these characters at all. Yeah, it's a particularly very oddish comic. Now I should point out, though, those of you curious still about the costume, this is the John Cassidy costume that he first got back in 2004. Yeah. You see, he's gone through many different costume changes. I saw a cover featuring, there's an upcoming cover coming out for Uncanny X-Men in June, where apparently he's going back to that ugly 80s costume. I have no idea why Marvel's going back to that. It's bizarre. But yeah, it's just okay. It's interesting though, but man, the artwork is bizarre in here. Oh, and the artwork. Those of you curious though about it, this artwork was done by several different artists. Like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of them here. It's like, I could like at least 2. Actually 3. There are 3 artists on here. You have, yeah, it's Bastro. Never heard of this guy. Paco Diaz and Ale Garza. Yeah, these are the ones who do this artwork. All this keeps saying is 2014, so I don't have any idea when this digital first comic was released. Yeah, currently right now for Marvel, there's a handful of digital first comics. I mean, there's one for Iron Fist. There's one for Cloak and Dagger. Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. There's a small handful of them. They're actually pretty good books. But those are a lot better than this thing. It's not a terrible book per se, but it's not a digital first book people tend to talk about. Another digital first book I know of is Amazing Spider-Man Who Am I, which is the only one basically he's actually had. Yes. But unlike the other characters I named, those characters still have an ongoing series. Wolverine is supposed to be getting one soon. I had heard that he was supposed to get one after the Return Wolverine miniseries came out. I heard about Wolverine Infinity and Full Wolverine Infinity Gauntlet, but my guess is Wolverine ongoing series has been delayed because of that miniseries. That's just my theory, anyways. Okay, let's move on to DC, where we talk about a series I have talked about before on here, but the only time I have talked about these characters is their archive books. This is actually a book that was actually released back in 2011. Yes, 2011. This is Legion of Superheroes Consequences. There's no volume number on here. You can kind of think of it as volume 2. This book contains issues 7 through, I think it's 11. Yeah, actually 7 through 10 of Legion of Superheroes volume, I believe it is 5. Adventure Comics 521, 522, and Legion of Superheroes number 1. I should point out that was the only one published that period of time. Yeah, the book was relaunched like not long after this. Yeah, those of you curious about the Adventure Comics thing. The book itself was brought back in 2009 of all things, and it was around for about 2 years before DC felt to retire it. I've talked to a couple people about it, and they would love to see this series come back again, especially since it's a really good series. Now, one thing, the way this trade presents this particular series is that the issues of Adventure Comics are connected to the issues of lead superheroes. The only other time I can think this has happened, where you have two books featuring lead superheroes and they connect to each other, was actually briefly in the late 90s with Legionnaires and Lead Superheroes Volume 4. Is it 4? No, it's 3. Actually, it was 4. This is actually Volume 6. My mistake, Volume 6. Yeah, this is written by Paul Levitz. Yes. One of the longest running writers on this particular franchise of Lead Superheroes. He had been writing the series on and off since 1978. Yeah, though he did take a brief 10 years off when Mark Waid decided to go to the book. Yeah, he read the book for a long time, for over 10 years. Then he stopped writing and came back with this. As a matter of fact, Paul Levitz was actually the last person to write a Lead Superheroes comic book when this comic ended back in 2013 of all things. Yeah, it was particularly very odd it ended. Yeah, and because of the fact there's been 3 different Legion superheroes, versions of them over the years, which version is featured in this book? The original one. Yep. Yeah, DC decided to bring these characters back at Advance of Final Crisis, thanks to the miniseries Legion of 3 Worlds. Yes, they brought back these characters, and they actually have been featured regularly since then. This is actually one of 2 books featuring at that point. They also got back Adventure Comics after they got back pretty much partway through Superboy's brief run in the book. Yeah, and the book also became connected to the New Krypton stuff, which is Superman title. Yeah, the title actually resumed publication with its original numbering. With issue number, I think it was 512. It managed to last until 529, when the series ended. Yeah, it ended. As for why it ended, no idea. The thing with Adventure Comics, it's one of those long time anthology books that DC's had over the years. This book have been publishing since the late at least since the early 1940s. Yeah, it had been publishing for a long time, until it was finally retired in the late 80s. Yeah, it published over 40 years. And then DC just kept it dormant for years, until they brought it back as a Superboy comic. Eventually, of course, went back to being Lead Superheroes after that, and also this book became sort of a spin-off book for the group, featuring the Legion Academy, which is referenced in here. Also, the main storyline in here is that there's a bit of xenophobia in the Galactic Federation. That's I think it's what they call themselves. It's the government that they work for. I mentioned Science Police. There's R.J. Brandel. Those of you curious about him, he is the financer of the Legion of Superheroes. A character who has been dead for many years, and here's something interesting though about him. He's actually an alien, he's not human. He's a Duralan. Now, I first heard the name Duralan was actually during the events of an event for Green Lantern, Corporation. I thought they were original characters in New 52, but no. They're actually characters who've been around since the late 60s. Mainly due to the character Chameleon Boy. He himself is an alien. Yeah. And this book basically deals with the Duralans. Oh yeah, and apparently Lead Superheroes headquarters is under quarantine by the government because of the Duralans. Okay. Yeah, those who are also curious though about the Dominators. Yeah, those who seen pop up during the Invasion crossover from that crossover with Arrow, Flash, Legend of Tomorrow, and Supergirl. They're actually aliens from the Lead Superheroes comic book. Yep, they are. This, of course, this is actually a really good book. There's also something here really weird, though. Between the character Earthman and Mon-El, yeah, there's something really weird with these two. These two fight over Shadowlass, who was actually supposed to be Mon-El's wife. And they're fighting over her because apparently Shadowlass hooked up with Earthlat for some reason, particularly very bizarre. Yeah, from what I can tell, wasn't exactly reading it. I read it recently, and apparently this volume had a reputation for having weird, soap opera sub characters end up with each other for no explained reason. Also, Mon-El had to take up leadership of the Lead Superheroes because Cosmic Boy couldn't do it anymore. Yeah, Cosmic Boy was a longtime leader of Legion Superheroes, and he basically stepped down, and Mon-El took over. Though Mon-El also became a new Green Lantern, even though I also went to Earthman, but give it to him. But this is still really good. I love Legion Superheroes. And I've heard rumors been coming back. I'm going to give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, I've been hearing rumors for the past couple years that there's going to be another Legion Superheroes comic book. The rumor is that Jeff Johns is going to be writing it. Though I had heard that for the Shazam comic, which that proved to be true, and the book came back last year, but DC's been slowly bringing back Legion Superheroes. I mean, the last time the group actually physically appeared was page of Justice League United of all things. Yeah, when Jeff Lemire brought him back after they'd been gone for about a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they came back in the annual, which led into the Infinity Saga, which is a really good storyline. I think with Lemire's run, it's a 10-part epic, and it's amazing. And it was a very smart move of his to bring back the Legion Superheroes. Though the group disappeared after that, and they were never seen again, until Saturn Girl popped up in Arkham Asylum for some strange reason, along with Emerald Empress, who actually just returned in the page, her most recent appearance was actually pages of Supergirl of all things. And she shows up in here as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am really looking forward to returning Legion Superheroes, because I read every single volume of Legion Superheroes that's been released so far. Yeah. And I do appreciate, though, DC is giving these characters a little bit more respect the past several years. Yeah, this is one particular franchise DC has never disrespected at all, despite the fact they keep rebooting these characters. They rebooted these characters twice. First time in the mid-90s, and they rebooted them again in the mid-2000s for, no reason at all. Of course, that version is known as the 3-boot version. Heck, get this. Lightning Lass, who is the sister of Lightning Lad, one of the time members of the League of Superheroes. Yeah, for some reason, the original version of her has been outed as a lesbian. I have no idea why, but she is. Yeah, she's not in this book at all. Not even Bouncy Boy's in here. Mm-hmm. But this book is just fun. I kind of wish I got a little bit more out of this thing. Mm-hmm. And this book was relaunched by New 52, but the book got canceled in 2 years. Yeah, it got canceled at 23 issues, but I really want to get more Legion Superhero stuff, because this is one particular series that I've always wanted to do more reviews for, because I have had a soft spot for these characters for years. I'd say since 20... Actually, it was just before I got reading regular DC comics. I read them briefly, and then of course I stopped reading DC because I want to focus on Marvel. And then I opened up DC because I read a lot of Marvel at that point. This was back in 2010. Mm-hmm. So I opened my horizons, and I basically read, as of right now, from Volume 2 up into Volume 7, every single volume there was an ongoing one released to date. I would say the shortest volume of all of these, aside from the most recent ones, Volume 2, despite the fact it's had this big Triple H numbering, it's actually, believe it or not that long of a volume. No, it isn't, because the numbering is a continuation of the numbering from Superboy Volume 1. I'm not kidding about that. It seriously is. It's a continuation of that numbering, because they took over numbering after Superboy decided to go become just a supporting character in the book. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But otherwise, so that's really it for this particular review. Stay tuned for tomorrow, when we do my reviews of the newest episode of Fairy Tail and the newest episode for Black Clover, along with news chapter of the manga, which is going to be, from what I can tell, the finale for this long arc that's been going on in this series, which I'm looking forward to that, okay? But to this next review. Bye.